I'm driving back into my old hometown of Chiltern in northeast Victoria, about 3 hours drive north of Melbourne. It's an old gold mining town. It was established in the 1850s. And I want to tell you about an extraordinary event that happened in this town during World War II. And in the back seat is an old suitcase, and I'll be taking that suitcase and its contents a little later on to the museum. It was May 1943, and a young Frank Robertson, just 19 years old, was flying a small Wirraway aircraft, part of the Kitty Hawk squadron, on a training flight from Deniliquin to Tocumwal and back. That was the plan. But it was a cloudy, rainy night. He got lost and he finished up here in Chiltern. Now, he had to make an emergency landing because he was low on fuel, so he chose this paddock right behind me, which is by the Albury to Melbourne rail line. Now, when he threw a parachute flare to the ground, when it hit the ground, it momentarily blinded him. He flew through a large gum tree and lost the engine and part of the left wing, and then finished up on some telegraph wires. Now, that had two effects. One, it slowed him down, which was a good thing, but then it flipped him like a slingshot so that he splattered like a pancake on Nurse Rose Carter's house. So there are still people in this town who remember that night vividly, and they ran to the scene when they heard the crash. And one of them is an old friend of mine, Eunice Di Piazza, who lived straight across the railway tracks from the scene.
My father then decided, when he'd landed on the house, that he would go down.
Your father must have been amazed to see that he was virtually uninjured.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you really expected to see someone who was critically injured, actually, but no. So he really was blessed, I think.
And it was a real shock to Nurse Carter, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Barry. And she came out, and of course the pilot, he looked and he saw this vision. She was in a long white nightgown and she had long grey hair, and he thought, good Lord, I've died and gone to heaven. But no such luck. He had another few years to live.
Kevin, good to see you. This is the suitcase I was telling you about. I'm not certain what's in there. I've had a bit of a briefing. I haven't seen it. Okay. But it's donated by, now, you know, Frank passed away earlier this year. He's 93. Good innings, yeah. And his sons have donated this. One of his sons, Jeffrey Robertson, who you would remember.
Yes, the hypothetical man.
Hypotheticals on the ABC, and he's now a human rights lawyer based in London.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Goodness me. And that was Frank's actual dress jacket.
It certainly would have been either the jacket or an identical jacket to the one that he was wearing on the night. And this, they tell me, was part of the action on the night. This cap. Now, the most prominent display that you have here is the one on the plane crash.
We also have on loan from the Burke Museum in Beechworth Nurse Carter's uniform and other items in there belonging to, of course,
the goggles.
Yes, the goggles that
the goggles he'd wearing on the night.
Frank actually wore on the night. And it's good to see that this 75-year-old jigsaw puzzle has had another bit filled in with the addition of the uniform.
How important is it to have this story remembered in this way?
I think it's very important, Barry, because most of the stories that we have to tell, we need to pass on to future generations. This one, on this particular occasion, had a very happy ending, we know, but by the same token, it's part of the fabric, it's part of the tapestry of Chiltern, and coming up to the 75th anniversary, this being a very important one.